Okay, so I, in my meditation just now, I saw us all sitting together. Oh my gosh, so emotional. Yeah, I saw us all sitting together. We were in the mountains. It was like this mountainous area, and I saw us all sitting together in circle, and it was just so beautiful, and the love that I could feel and that I feel right now is so amazing. It's so strong. This is such a beautiful group. It's such a beautiful connection that we all have. It's very sacred. Thank you.
Yeah, I felt this as an indigenous tribe pulling together that energy too. And then I looked up and I can see the matrix very strong right now. So I was like, oh, yeah. So normally Megan would pull a card, but
Okay.
I have already done, which I'm going to assume that she would have pulled the same one because that's what we've been doing. Well, this is the card for today, and it's the Uluka Vahini. She who rides the owl brings justice. And I'm just going to read it for us first. I am the goddess of karma, wealth, and balance. I come to correct adharma, that which is dark, unnatural, and against nature, life, love, and goodness. I redress the misuse of wealth and power, and I enact divine justice and restore divine order. Trust in the innocence of your own soul and fear not, for I am ever watchful and my power brings truth. Divine justice divine justice is always brought to bear. Don't waste your valuable time and energy worrying about people getting away with things. It's not possible. Everything is balanced out by karma in the long run. And if you feel down or depressed, take action immediately to reconnect to joy, healing energy, and vitality of spirit. All things are measured and metered by clear divine vision, and your job is to put your faith in the work of the divine whilst you tend to your own journey and trust and commitment. From the perspective of those with awakened hearts, the world can sometimes appear to be disturbing and a frightening place where negativity actively leads to prosperity, whilst good and worthy people struggle and suffer. It may appear that those who have wisdom are barely heard. Against angry people with fear in their heart are afforded attention and power. It may seem that what matters most is tended to least, whilst destructive purposes gain mass support and constructive causes struggle to maintain existence. And it's very easy with such view of things for the pure of heart to become angry, bitter, and despairing. However, you are meant to be filled with to support you in this task. Safeguarding your state of mind is essential for you to accomplish your life purpose. If you get caught up in the negative thinking, as may happen from time to time, allow Great Spirit to guide you back to the truth of your inner light. And remember that the divine is more powerful than any nightmare created by human darkness. You don't have to deny the dark side of human nature or its manifest consequences for the health of the planet, but you do need to keep yourself secure within the light so that you can effectively fulfill your destiny as an earth warrior. Joy, happiness, and peace will not diminish your motivation to serve love. Rather, they will ensure that you have enough energy to do so effectively. Whether you are facing a sense of injustice in your personal life or fear despair at the choices humanity is making in the broader sense, know that divine has a grander plan than we can possibly understand. And we are here to fight for love and do all that we can to honor what is true for us. We are meant to call upon the universe for this assistance in all ways possible. We are meant to use our strength of love, compassion, wisdom, light, kindness, and kindness to be kick-ass earth warriors who will never give up, who are smart enough to use every resource they can, including their living connection to Great Spirit, to affirm correct priorities that honor life. And in this way, we uplift ourselves and inspire others through our journey, our life's journey. There are dark forces that want you to lose hope, because they know that when your heart is hopeful, you are unstoppable. Trust that divine will take care of the darkness, and trust that karmic forces will balance the scales of higher justice with unerring accuracy. Whilst you do everything in your power to remain connected to the light as you bring your loving energy, purpose, and passion into the world. Especially like I don't know if you guys heard that my episode today, but I had this actually reminds me of the lesson that I got last week of, you know, someone that I believe is connected to spirit, and that even if you have that connection to spirit, it doesn't mean that you're bringing forth light all the time, you know, and that's human nature, and I get that, but also to discern when you feel that thread coming through and deciding, is this still aligned, and in every moment making that decision. And it's okay to disconnect from it, right? And even if you I have a problem with putting people on pedestals. I'm like, the lesson keeps coming back to me. So I think because I'm fairly new on this journey, actually this week was my 2-year anniversary of my awakening. And I always feel like, you know, there's people that know so much more than me. So those are the ones that I put on the pedestal. And every single time I'm re-shown that nobody's perfect. And really, it's in your own heart that you get to really discern what feels right, and going with that space to decide, not the authority or the person that has the a ton of followers to be the one that guides us, because it's not the truth. So I love that card for that purpose. And I'm trusting that I'm not the only one that does it. So
that just kind of reminds me of something I'm trying to train all my employees at work to do, is like eliminate. Often when people know something or they have like something strong come through, they say, I think, or they kind of, you know, like if into it. And I'm like, no, you know, like, let's like eliminate, I think. And I do that a lot too with, you know, like on the spiritual side of things, I go, well, I think I got this message or this, and then I correct myself and I go, no, I know it was. And then I start over, and I just, yeah, like trying to eliminate that questioning of ourselves. But we're so quick to say when we have, you know, other people that we look up to, there's no question, you know, but we have the same powers within us, you know.
yeah, and I think over and over the lesson is that we have to stop looking to others to be our teachers. We are our own teachers, really. I mean, you wouldn't be in this space and on this path if you weren't your own teacher. You clearly have had many lives teaching or doing the work, and there is no one greater than each of us to know what feels right and wrong. Yeah. So I don't know, LaDonna, are you able to hear us? And if so, can you say hello?
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
Yeah, at first I couldn't hear you, and it was like, well, wait a minute. But then I finally figured it out because I'm new to this, and it was like, this is absolutely wonderful. I mean, I thank you for letting me join in. And it's just, the message today was just hit home perfectly. So it was great.
I just asked you if you could share your video. I don't know if you can. Oh, there we go.
There you go. I didn't see, that's why I said I don't know how to work this
Oh,
thing
yeah.
yet.
I thought she doesn't know how to share.
Welcome.
Welcome.
Thank you. It was very nice. I'd like to keep coming if
Yeah.
it's okay with you guys.
Of course.
Yes, absolutely.
That's why we're here for sure. Do you want to say anything about yourself? Like, like where you are on your journey?
I am originally from Indiana, and I moved here, and we're in New York now. I moved here in New York. My journey started about a year ago, really opening up. I did Reiki, so now I'm up to a Reiki master now. So that's opened up a lot more, but it's always been, I've always had psychic abilities and really didn't pay too much attention to them. But my husband is great support, and he keeps saying, keep going, keep going, keep going. And, you know, I see things and I question them and wonder if it's really real and if it's not. So it's great. It's been a great where I'm at. I mean, the journey that I'm on right now, it's like opening up doors, and it's really, I'm just starting to do the meditations and focus in more and pay more attention to what is really being answered for me.
I mean, I always feel like probably we all have had these gifts our whole lives, but it's only been like, for me, obviously fairly recent, that you start trusting them, or they have become more of the center stage, or instead of the thing you hate about yourself.
Yeah.
That's great though. So we actually didn't have a ton of topics to talk about today, but I have a list of things that I want to bring up so that we can just reconfirm. So the first thing is that Anne and Mina are going to do a pendulum class on Thursday, July 22nd. And I don't know, Anne, did you say what day or what time? Because I didn't have that. Or are you still waiting on the time? Oh, we can.
Yet, Mina, do you know anything about the time yet? Did the survey come back yet?
Mina's not here.
Oh, Mina, I'm sorry. I keep getting confused. Okay, sorry. Then no, I do not know times yet.
Okay, so it's going to be on Thursday, and we'll figure it out. And then we had talk of doing a Sananga class, or maybe I had put that out there as like maybe something that we can think about in the future. And I don't know which one of you lovelies would love to teach it, but I will just put that out there as that the perfect person will want to. And then Kayla also is going to talk about combo, which we have to schedule as well. But I think all of these things on having them available for people to dig more deeply into them is amazing. And then Megan is going to do a microdosing class. And then we talked about our Mount Shasta trip being postponed to next year. And then the only other thing I have is that we've had a ton of dreams come up this week that are connecting us all. And I mean, I feel like Kayla is like the dream warrior. So I feel like she's the pro in this.
Thank you. Yeah, it was so interesting, this dream about the bufo, because I haven't experienced bufo. I've only had 2 ceremonies with it. And then when was it? At the end of my combo training, the second day of my combo training, there was a medicine woman there who was serving bufo, and she brought the group together. And I just did a microdose of the medicine that day. I didn't go on a full journey with it. So that was the last time that I experienced it. And I haven't really been feeling the call too much. Like, I've kind of been thinking about it, and I've attended some ceremonies, and but yeah, so to experience it in my dream space like that was amazing. And I felt it, like I experienced that medicine, and I woke up from that dream and I was like, oh my God, thank you. Like, I needed that. I felt so like refreshed and revitalized.
I think
so yeah, it was really interesting.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, really. And almost like it brought up too this idea that you don't need to even ingest the plants or the medicines to get the effect of it. I love that. Like, because you really went through
Yeah.
the whole thing of the experience without even ingesting.
Yeah, well, it's really interesting because I mean, ever since I've started the journey with plant medicines, it's kind of like my thing. Like I'll experience them first in spirit realm, like in my dream space before actually physically taking the medicine. And then again after, usually after ceremony, I'll experience it in dream space once or twice more. So um that definitely makes me wonder, like, if I were to put a little bit more intention or focus on, connecting with the spirits of the medicines, like, could I access that even more and, still receive the benefits?
What just came up for me while you were talking is that it's actually your parallel lives kind of lining up in the same space that you are in this life. Like they are literally going through the same, which I've never experienced. Like all of my parallel lives are usually completely different from where I am today. So, but I have heard that timelines are starting to collapse on each other. So that makes me wonder if you in another parallel life is very close to where you are today, and or even maybe more advanced because she can serve herself. Right, and she's bringing you that energy.
Right.
Wow.
That sounds about right. That's amazing.
I think about that until just now, and I was like, oh wait, that's why.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I feel that definitely.
Yeah, I feel that too. Which is like both you and Megan are on the path of serving, and like today I have never held space for others. Actually, no, in any medicine I've always been, attending for myself, so I've never held the space for others, but today will be my first day doing that. And I have heard though that when you are in that space, like there, for some people that are meant to do that work, they just automatically feel like they're reunited with part of their soul to
Yeah.
that space and to be that nurturing entity or energy for them.
Absolutely. I can actually add to that quite a bit. So, and this goes back to what you were saying about, putting people up on pedestal. So I never went into the medicine journey because I wanted to be a shaman or anybody that served medicine. I went into it for my own healing. And everything just kind of unfolded. And, that was one of the first things that I started experiencing. And this was back in 2017 when I first started. So like the shaman that I was working with, I didn't know any better. Like he could do no wrong. He was like a saint in my eyes, and I very, very quickly learned how human, he really was. And I was constantly being challenged with trusting myself over this shaman. And between that first shaman that I started with and then a couple other shamans, I started to see like there was a lot of issues, kind of some dark stuff in the medicine spaces. And I decided, I was like, you know what, I'm not really fully feeling safe in these spaces anymore, so I'm just going to step away from the circles altogether. But I still felt that calling to want to work with medicine and to continue, the healing work, but I wasn't sure who to go to anymore, or how it was going to work. And that's when San Pedro literally came knocking on my door. I was being contacted by a friend of mine who I met through a bufo ceremony. She kept calling me about San Pedro. You got to try this. You got to try this. It's beautiful. You'll love it. And I kind of dismissed it for a while. And then, by the fourth or fifth time that she contacted me, I was like, okay, spirit, Like I get it. I have to do this medicine. So I experienced you know, a journey with her and a couple of other friends. And then after I experienced that medicine, I decided, you know what? I'm just going to open up the space, you know, in my home. I'll provide the safe space. I learned enough through, you know, different ceremonies and stuff that I had experienced up to that point. And I just felt really called to move forward with it and to just hold sacred space for people at my home to journey with San Pedro. And so like the intention was that there's nobody in the lead, you know, there's no lead shaman or lead healer, that we're all here together. We have each have different, you know, tools and knowledge, and we have everything that we need to help somebody work through a process if things get difficult or whatever the case may be. So in that experience, oh my God, there was probably like 12 or 13 of us there. And, you know, we had all taken the San Pedro medicine, and probably like 45 minutes into it, I started to hear the medicine like guiding me and showing me like, okay, go over here, go do this, go do that, get this tool, go to this person right now. And it was like the medicine was teaching me how to like facilitate the space and to move the energy. And that honestly, like that was my first time. And everybody that was involved in that ceremony, they, you know, were watching like everything unfold, and they were just like, oh my God. And everybody felt that, you know, and that was a huge turning point for me, and a huge lesson in like trusting myself, you know, really trusting myself and really trusting in the guidance of the medicine.
No, really,
So
because I think especially when you let go of the ego space, your actual soul can do the work it's here to do, right?
mhm.
And really, that's if you knew your soul knew what needed to be done in that space. And I think too, like as you were talking, it seems that traditionally a lot of the shaman are men, and there's nothing. I mean, I've been in ceremony with a lot of men, but more recently, the shaman that I know that is local that does ayahuasca ceremonies, she's female. There's something different about it. There's something that I believe feels so much safer and almost like held. Like her holding the space in ceremony is so much stronger and deeper than any male shaman that I've ever experienced. Now, I don't know if it's her training and all of that, but I think there's like a unlearned knowing that females hold for each other. And like I just am getting the feeling that is a need for more women to step forward in that space. You know, if you feel that deep call, which obviously you and Megan both are, which so I thank you both for that. You know,
I agree with that, your statement. The females are stronger, because I've seen a female shaman and I've seen a male, and it seems like the female just brings out so much more and just touches more. So I agree with you on that.
well, I think it's being in tune with the undercurrent of the emotional connection, like being empathic, and in a way that sometimes men, at least in my experience, when they are open, it feels like a sexual energy that comes out, which in women, it's not as, I don't think that's the first thing that comes out. I think it's more of the nurturing place. And I know through conversations with my shaman here, she said that like, especially in the jungle, this is the sexual energy is just crazy because people are so much more free with their kundalini. But when you're dealing with people that are vulnerable and aren't prepared for that part of the physical reality, there needs to be like a nurturing, I believe. And I have felt like I am more freer when I feel that nurturing.
I work in the cannabis industry, and I was in sales for a very long time, and in Canada, it's legal. So many salespeople are women, and the company I work for is all women, but we're talking about a plant at the end of the day. Of course, it's the same thing. And I've always said women have, I think with cannabis or any plant medicine, everyone is self-medicating for something. Like there's always like a deeper, and having women in store, they open up like a space of compassion and a caring that even with the most hardened, you know, like owner or buyer or whoever they're dealing with, we just have this ability to like open up and get to the core of what's going on under the personality and under like that like heart-based connection that women bring to plant medicine. Even I see at work every day, which is beautiful, working with cannabis. So
Yeah, it's a gift for sure. And I just like, that's why like Megan going and learning combo and you obviously being a practitioner is like for sure.
Yeah, I experienced so many things. Like from that point on, you know, I haven't shut down to other people, but I'm very picky about who I work with, which is a beautiful lesson to learn as far as medicine space goes. Like, you know, the people that are brand new and they're very naive and vulnerable, they don't know. Like, we need to be able to have these discussions and really make people aware and then take action, you know, like Megan and I and so many of us are doing to like make the space sacred and safe. I mean, when I first started with ayahuasca, and I would go to ceremony, not always to drink, you know, and I ended up being contacted by a lot of the participants after ceremony, and they would do integration work with me, and they wanted to talk and just have conversation with me. Like I became this safe space for people, like this mother presence, and they would, you know, different people at different times were calling and asking me like, are you going to go to the ceremony? Like, please come, it's not the same without you. And that's what they were craving. Like they needed someone that felt safe and someone that they knew really cared, you know. So it's definitely a need.
Yeah, definitely. I like this last weekend I did ceremony and my best friend, it was her first time, and I think it couldn't have been more perfect for her to experience the sacredness and the holding of, you know, exactly where she is, because you know we all are on such different paths, and like, you know, I believe that when your soul is ready, the medicines just start coming. I haven't actively searched out any medicine. They just seem to show up. And I was saying today in my Bufo, my first ceremony with any medicine was with Bufo. And clearly it's the strongest thing you can do. And I had no reference of anything. I had done mushrooms in Amsterdam back in my 20s, and I think that was it. So I had no idea about psychedelics at that point. But I know that when you're ready, your soul brings it to you. You don't have to search it. Like even this week about them starting the microdosing of mushrooms, I wasn't searching it. I wasn't thinking it was time, but in my ceremony, I was shown that I need to melt my mind. And then I'm like, because we all have a grasp on this reality that is so hard. Even though I do this all day long and this is my life, it's still, you know, it's still hard to let go of that personality. And I just feel like starting with the flower essences, like as a very mellow, chill way to really start attuning your vibration to the plant medicines. It's like the entryway to start communing with them, and then they just come. But then also using the discernment, and I always check in with my pendulum. Is this really calling me, or is like it just happened that I was in the location of this conversation, you know? And typically it always is that, yeah, it's time. And it's like stepping out of the ego or the, okay, am I ready to introduce another thing? But also I'm finding that like with Hape, that when I was communing every day with Hape, there were no other substances coming in. So it's almost like they come when you're ready to devote time to each one. And I know, like Susan, you were saying that Hape is still saying it's not time. And I was thinking about that. And I was like, probably because she's deep into Sananga and she's like, you have to really commune with one at a time.
Yeah. I'm also, like you guys started talking about microdosing mushrooms, and my best friend just happened to have some from another friend from her farm. She grows it, and it's a new business for her, but they're in the cannabis business, so this is sort of like an offshoot of it. But Sunday I show up and I'm like, hey, and then she's like, oh, I have this bar, do you want to try some? And I'm like, okay, that's weird, that's synchronicity. So yeah, I just started it on Sunday, and so we'll see where it goes. But I think I'm gonna just buy some from the Instagram that you sent me. I'm in touch with them. I don't know, I'll try different kinds. But the weird thing is, when you guys started talking about it, these mushrooms started growing up in my garden. So maybe it's a sign I should grow my own, which is what I'm feeling a little bit. So that's exciting. Yeah, and it just showed up.
There's a class on, it's called doubleblind.com, I think. They have a class on how to grow your own.
Okay, doubleblind.com. I'll look at that because I'm really drawn to that. And then it just showed up. So I was just like, okay, no resistance. I'm just gonna do it. And it was so great because she was right by the beach. And I'm like, let's go to the beach. And no one was at the beach. It was like, usually it's crowded and it's a Sunday. And I'm like, okay, this is the right moment for me. And yeah, it all just aligned. Like I didn't have to look for it, just like you were saying. So it just shows up. I think for anybody. And then I think the more you're searching for it, it almost has resistance for me. I don't know if anybody else is like that.
I definitely have seen that with friends. As the girls that I'm doing the ceremony with today, I met them in Costa Rica. And one of them was searching ayahuasca and went to Costa Rica, I feel, from a mind state, not necessarily to further her spirituality. And she didn't feel anything in the medicine. Both ceremonies, nothing. And then she was supposed to go with us to ceremony this past weekend. And she actually was the first one that signed up and paid and all of that. And then a couple of days before the ceremony, she pulled out. She said, I just can't imagine going through this again and sitting there and not having an experience. And I was like, wow, it's amazing how if you aren't called, it is not your time. It is not your time. So yeah, so now she's wants to try to bypass and go like the rocket ship up to with Bufo. And it will be interesting to see, because again, from the mind state, when you want that experience, it may not be the time, right? Like I keep thinking that in all of these instances for me, I wasn't looking for it. And maybe that's your soul saying now is the time, right? So it's like really differentiating from what's the purpose of this. Because if you're like, in her case with ayahuasca, she wanted the psychedelic experience. And that's not what it is. That's like the bastardized thing of ayahuasca. It's like the most I guess like diluted version of what it actually is. So yeah, it's great to see that experience.
For sure. I've had a friend who, like, now that you say it, it's the mind space. I have a friend who went to ayahuasca 5 times and nothing happened. I mean, literally nothing. And she spent, it's like, thousands of dollars and times to go there. And I just think that you kind of nailed it. Like, it's when you come from the mind or you're expecting something to happen, sometimes it just, the medicine will tell you that it's not your time, you're not ready, or maybe it'll be misconstrued if you do have some experience. So I definitely believe that it'll just tell you what you need.
The other thing is there's no judgment. Like, it's not like if it is calling you, you're anywhere more advanced than another. It's just your soul's not ready to commune with you in that way, and that's it. Like there's work to be done in other ways.
Yeah.
My best friend who went this weekend, you know, I was just so gentle with her and just so loving. And I was like, wow, that's exactly what she needed, you know, and it from being someone that was like, would never, you know, try anything. Now she's like, can't wait to do it again, you know? So it's like, she gives you what you're ready for. So with the mushrooms, I feel like when I think I put out the question in the group, it's like started this thread that's like a web that now is like, yes, and you need it and you need it and you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I know like some people who are pretty psychic and they haven't tried anything. Like, I don't think that that's necessary. So don't feel like that's pressure, because you can go your whole life and not do anything, and you don't really, you know, the medicine's not saying you need it. You're where you're at, where you need to be. And I feel like that's something to remember, because even the most tuned in, tapped in, born into this, you know, don't go for it. So
Right. I agree. Like, and I think if you are in that space, you know, wow. I mean, that's great. I think in my case, like my mind really holds tight to this vessel. And like I was shown, for me, ayahuasca is where my soul gets to play. And that's what it feels like. And I know that it's not needed, but it's like, and maybe that's why the mushrooms actually came in, for me to find other ways to free the soul to be who I am, actually, instead of letting my ego fight for the control. Yeah, it's interesting to see. We'll see. I right now don't have another ceremony planned, but as I does, so we'll see what happens. Yeah.
Susan, did you feel anything when you did anything special when you did the mushrooms?
Me, or do you say me or Susan?
Susan.
me, I just felt super happy. It's just like I saw this like white arch in the sky, and then I just felt so happy. I don't know, and not like a euphoric. It was very subtle, like super subtle level of feeling anything. And I sort of got scared because I don't really like taking things that are. I just don't like taking things, but they keep finding me. But so I did a half of a piece, and then I didn't really feel anything. So I did the whole thing. And I think what they say is if you don't start with the whole thing, you don't feel it as strongly. But it was the day after. Yeah, I feel like you're like, if you don't take the whole dose at one time, this is what my friend was telling me, you might not feel the whole dose at one time. So I think mine was just like riding out for 2 days, like very subtle, very subtle. It's almost like, oh, like I got that, like, and then I move on and then I forget. it's so subtle. But yeah, I maybe have to take it continuously. I read Megan's little cheat sheet that said, do it one day, take 2-day break, and then do it again. I don't know, my friend does it every day and she seems fine.
A microdose or like a, do you know that?
Microdose.
Do you know how much you took?
I forgot. I don't know. I think it was like 100 grams in the bar, and they were like, you know, cut into pieces. So I don't know. I can find out. I can let you guys know. But it's probably the lowest of the low, because I really didn't.
Yeah.
I was a little worried about it because, you know, I was going to go to this event and I wasn't sure how I would feel. So I was trying to be more cautious, but I didn't feel much. Nothing like crazy, let's just say. I could still function.
Yeah.
How about you, Gabrielle? Did you?
I mean, I did 0.1 gram, so it is like such a, like nothing, right? So for me, it felt like just being a little bit more lighter. And I said, like I kept saying this, I feel like I'm just groovy. Like just like feeling like well, that day I had one of my cousins had gotten into a car accident. So like they do say try not to take it if something stressful is going on, but I couldn't, obviously I already had taken it and then I got the call that this happened. But I felt like almost like taking a higher perspective of everything in my day. So even I went to Costco, everything just felt like, oh, hey, like just chill. And not like in a way where you feel like you're on something, more just like you're having the best day. And like maybe something great happened and you're just like, nothing's gonna get me down. I feel in flow. Like I noticed myself like singing along with songs and just being more like present to the joys of life, I guess is how I would describe it.
How are you normally?
I think I stay in my head a lot. I really do. I like if I'm doing just tasks around the house, like cooking or cleaning or whatever, I think I'm in thinking about things. And this helped me to feel things and just let go of the mind. That's what it felt like, just letting the mind take a break, but not in a way where you feel like you're on a substance. You're still fully functional. Like I drove, I was like, and from what I understand, you don't want to feel anything. Like if you feel like tired, you've taken too much. If you feel anything other than just chill, you've taken too much. So, and then you take it one day and then off 2 days. So tomorrow I will take another one. But I've noticed that, so this is the third day, I still feel kind of just at flow, like not like I'm on something, but just kind of like easygoing. Although yesterday when I realized that I had booked the two things at the same time, I was like, normal me would not have done that. I was like, well, maybe I really need to make sure my calendar is correct, because I think you don't care about those minute things. That's kind of how I felt.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about all of this in context to my spiritual awakening and my like call towards medicine. So when I had after my awakening, I knew I needed to leave where I was, my relationship, my house, even the province I was living in. I knew it, but I was really ignoring my intuition strongly because I was so comfortable. And I put intention into settling down for years because I was just always on the go. I was like, oh, but I'm so comfortable. So I was just ignoring it. But the night that I had a message come through, there was a literal shooting right outside my bedroom window. Like someone was shot point blank right out. There was a crime scene like 10 feet away from my bedroom window, which was wide open. And I knew that was a sign for me. Like I woke up and I was like, oh shit, that was for me. Obviously someone else had a karmic lesson as well. But I woke up that morning and I said, okay, I have to go. My boyfriend got out of bed and I was like, I'm going to start packing up like today. And so that was my trigger to leave. And it did. Like within a week I was packed up. Within 2 weeks I had another place. So that was the gunshot was my like sign to you better get going. And then a few months before this, I had my awakening, maybe like 4 months beforehand. And I quit drinking alcohol. I never drank much, but even like I didn't feel like I wanted to even have a cider or a glass of wine, but I would still have maybe one a week or one and a few a month. But then after I moved, I would have a cider. And that night, I would get another dream where there was a shooting. And the first time it happened, like scary, it was scary. It was like someone was like chasing me and trying to shoot me. And the first couple of times it happened, and it was always like I would have a glass of wine. It's Christmas. I'll have one glass of wine. Nope. I would fall asleep that night. I couldn't, and I would have this shooting dream. And then it happened. By the third time it happened, I was like, these are not dreams anymore. These are messages. Spirit's telling me I am not to drink at all. And the same thing happened with cannabis. So I don't smoke much cannabis. I never really did, but I always had it around. And it completely, for me, the message that was coming through was to eliminate it 100% from my life. So I don't drink anything anymore. I don't smoke at all. And it's just interesting. That's why I asked you, like, how do you feel normally when you're at Costco? Because I'm the aloof type. Like I'm the type that goes and I'm just like, da, 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 I'm totally, I don't have my brain there at all. And I would be the one to always double book myself. So I'm kind of like the opposite of what you are naturally maybe, but I definitely got a very clear message. And so I'm just kind of listening to everyone speak about medicines, you know, and I just don't, if anything, for me, the message is like, don't mess with what's already going on. And I feel like it muddies my channel when I consume anything at all. So it's interesting.
Well, when I went to Sedona a few weeks ago, we had done gummies, and me, like my normal life, I don't drink and I don't do cannabis, like I don't do substances. So, but we went to Sedona and my mom was there and my cousin, and we brought gummies, and you know, it was more like a girls' weekend, and we did do the gummies. I think I had like 3 that weekend. And that was the trigger that was like, you need to clean this shit out of your system. So I did the juice cleanse like 4 days back to back, because yeah, I got the message like, number one, this is not good. Well, I still had 2 weeks before my IS ceremony, but it was like, it needs to get out. And I'm finding too that I don't, well, I never smoked, but alcohol, never, I don't drink alcohol, but I feel like, yeah, it's the communing. If you do have a plant in your life, it's choosing one and really understanding that one.
Yeah, I understand. I'm just, as you say that, thinking, obviously you can't compare alcohol or even sometimes like smoking cannabis. It's not the healthiest to plant medicine at all, but maybe that is the case. Like maybe it's a case of just completely getting it out and not even having one drink for a period of time until, because I am curious, you know, like I almost ordered some sunga the other day, and I did, it's in my cart. So it's like, I can actually feel it coming in the future, but I'm still maybe in this like doorway of, you know, I don't know.
Well, I have a friend that was visiting me from Mexico this last week, and she, you know, she did ayahuasca, and then I gave her half of the order that I ordered for the mushrooms. So she also is, you know, doing the microdosing, but yesterday was her first day. And she said she woke up, she took the mushroom or the pill, and then she had coffee, which you're not supposed to do either because it's a stimulant. And then later that night, she had a friend over and they had wine, and then they smoked. And I was like, and then she told me, my teeth are hurting. I was like, well, you're probably combining things you weren't supposed to combine. I mean, but again, no judgment. But I feel like, are you trying to escape something, or are you trying to commune with what's happening in your body? And I think that again is the thing. And from the messages that I get is the cleaner you are, the cleaner the experiences.
Right.
And I just want to say the message I got is because I've never grown up wanting to do drugs as a teenager. In fact, I'm like a little bit like, no, that's not for me. Like a boring teenager, you know, like I'm not going to do that. But I think the message for me is, now that I'm getting into it, is really trying to get to that space without something to like lean on. And like, it's showing you where you can go. This is my message to me. That's the medicine message to me, is like, but because I sort of craved it afterwards, like the mushrooms, I was like, oh, I really want to do that again. And then I'm like, oh, that's the thing that I was trying to, you know, avoid my whole life, is to feel like that's where I need to go to be whole. And I think maybe it's kind of tapping into that feeling for you, so that you can sense what it's going to be like when you get there on your own.
Yeah.
And that's why it's a medicine, and that's why we don't take medicine our whole life, you know. And even with alcohol, it's made out of a fruit, which is like, you know, such a pure substance. And I think that if we just take one and we don't have it as a crutch, it's actually something that's in our lives for, like, in ancient times, it's for, you know, celebration and bringing our spirits up, and that's why they call it spirit. So it's something that you know, I just don't think it's something we want to, like, that I want to make it like a permanent thing. It's more like I want to get there permanently on my own. And maybe that's where meditation kind of like infuses into it.
Yeah, I'm just realizing.
I don't know.
Yeah, I think there's like ego stuff coming up for me right now, which is clearly a block. My dad was doing, you know, turning on in the 60s. And he shared all of his stories about, you know, like journeying and very spiritual with me. So in a way, I felt like I did it already, but he always told me, don't do it. And then in university, I studied philosophy. And I remember writing an essay, this is just coming up now, about reaching nirvana. It was Eastern philosophy, either through drug-induced states or through meditation. And I was on the side of doing it through meditation. And this is all just like exactly what you just said. So I'm like, yeah, maybe there's actually also a bit of a block for me in that, like shedding that whole like educational perspective towards it and just opening up, you know.
Mhm. Yeah, I think I'm the complete, I didn't do anything. I was like, and to the point of no drinking, no, and I would go out with friends, but I just wouldn't drink because I felt like I had to have control over myself and the experience. And I think why does it keep coming up for me, these medicines, is that I need to understand what the difference is of control versus being free with that spiritual experience. And I mean, I think, God, I think I know I can get there without it for sure, but why do they keep presenting themselves as they want to help too? So trying to not judge it. I'm trying to just be with, okay, if this is what I need to experience, I'll experience it as long as it's natural. Like in my quest to research microdosing, a lot of people microdose LSD, and my feeling right away was no. That to me doesn't feel natural. And I don't know, you know, is it a resistance? I don't know, but I feel like as long as these are natural plants, they were created for us as tools, not as crutches to need every day, no, but as tools to understand a deeper facet of yourself.
Yeah. Interesting. I'm a control freak too, so I'm just like, oh, yep, afraid of not being in control. There's some more.
Yeah. Which I mean is also a trigger, like it's also a thing, you know, of why. And I think that's why, you know, ayahuasca, it feels like I'm so playful, such a different, I don't have to have that tight rein on my vessel, you know, it's, I mean, I'm just all over the place and I allow it and I'm just feel much happier in that state. So I feel like, you know, we all have things that are clouding us from being that state.
Yeah. No, it isn't like a judgment. It's more like, I don't think we should judge ourselves for those kind of things. Even like having, I don't know, maybe it's our path to do so, you know, it's on our path. It's just like not a judgment call at all. I think it's just, even if we become alcoholics, that's part of our lessons and our learnings. And, you know, that's a substance that we're going to abuse. But I think that everything is just a path to get to our true higher self. And, you know, you're going to get those pings when you go along the way. Like, is this right for me? Is this not? What is this for? Why are we doing this? You know, being more conscious. So.
Well, with this ceremony today, my friends were like, oh, are you going to do it with us? And I was like, oh, no, it's not. I know for sure it's not calling me, because, you know, like now I know the feeling of when it is like, it feels like a magnet. And I don't feel that at all for Bufo right now. And so I was like, no, but I definitely will be there to support you guys. But I think it's tuning into that feeling of knowing what is a message as a tool to help you in some area that you're working on, and what is just recreational. And for me, I know I'm finding the difference, you know, like I know for sure in Sedona doing those gummies was pure recreational. You know, yeah, I was getting lots of downloads and they were like having a good time with me. And my cousin was like, why can't you always be like this? But to me, and what I feel is like, I do become more free, but I also know it's not spiritual. Even if I get messages, it doesn't feel spiritual at all. So.
Well, I know when we go to Sedona, then to stay away from the gummies.
I don't know. I'm not judging. It's their experience if you're you know, open to it, and It's just, it's not spiritual. That, I don't know how else to explain it.
Right.
Even though it is a plant, it doesn't feel like, every time for me, it's like I become like an oracle for other people. And I don't know why, but it doesn't feel like I'm connecting to myself deeper.
Hmm.
How about you, Sherry? You've been so quiet.
Yes, I was doing the hot pay since I got it, and I ran out of the ambi drops, so those are gone. What you guys are saying is very true. Like, I just have to take time with each one. Like, I just feel like I want to get my toes wet and see if that's the right thing for me. And right now I'm on the hot pay. I stopped the Sananga. I have it in my fridge, but it's just not calling me right now. So I think the hot pay and just sitting with it and meditating and see where that takes me. So slowly.
And
How do
even
you
though you
feel
have
on
all
hot
these
pay?
tools, it doesn't mean you combine them together. You just
Right.
take one and you enjoy it for.
Yes.
Sherry, I'm just curious, how does the hot pay feel for you? Like, what do you feel compared to Sananga or just in itself?
The Sananga didn't really leave me with a feeling of calmness or, I don't know, relaxation, like just feeling myself and my energies. And so that's kind of why I stopped it. But I like the hot pay a lot. Like, I do it in the mornings, and I meditate in the mornings, and then I just have a really great day. And that's where I'm at. So I like it better.
I would say too, like,
But I am doing that,
go ahead.
Which one are
I
you
was-
taking? Which one are you using? Let me rephrase it.
the hot pay.
Yes.
I got two of them. One was from the chakra openings, and that one is called Andino. Andino from the chakra openings, and then from the other store, the Four Visions. And then I got a different one there, and that one is. Uh-oh. Oh, I can't find it at the moment. Oh, there it is. That one, I can't read that small. So my eyes. Maybe I should keep doing the Sananga for my eyes.
Sherry, how are the ambi drops? How do you like them?
I did like those a lot. They worked, I want to say stronger at the beginning, and then it just sort of tapered off. But now I have the ayahuasca drops that I do at night. So I do 2 little droplets under the tongue at night for those. And like you said, G, that I don't really remember my dreams a lot at all. Like, they're not, I don't remember them. So I just wake up and I feel good.
Like, my feeling is it's kind of like the flower essences. Like, you're just attuning to the vibration of the plant. And I remember when I came back from Costa Rica, I wanted that feeling to be with her still. So, this is like you're communing with her to see if she wants to meet you in a ceremony.
Right, right. Now you have me thinking about the micro dosing from that the Instagram website. So that's going to be my next maybe try.
Well, what I was thinking when you were talking is, for me, Hape was like the first time I had felt my own energy, like really, really knowing what it feels like to be in my own body without other people pulling and coming in. In a way, microdosing kind of feels the same way. It's like you aren't so preoccupied with the things outside of your body, you just are flowing in your own energy. It's slightly subtly different, but it's that same, like, okay, this is my lane and I'm staying in this lane. Yeah, it's so, I don't know. Have you done microdosing, Kayla?
I have done microdosing. I think it was last summer. I got the penis envy and I had 10 caps and I just took 1 cap every day until they were gone. And that was an awesome experience. They were stronger in the beginning. And they were beautiful as far as just uplifting my mood. And I felt like a lot of this fatigue and like heaviness in my energy was completely gone. Like I felt very clear and very light with a lot of just flowing energy through me, which was amazing. I did have one experience. I think it was like maybe the third or fourth day or something like that. It elevated me to such a high level. It was so amazing, but there was no, no visuals or anything. It wasn't psychedelic. It was just purely feeling that energy like organically in myself. And I actually was able to see this vibrant, like lime electric green light, like coming from my heart space. So that was amazing. But I haven't done it since then. I'm interested in maybe doing another round of microdosing with a different strain. I'm definitely feeling that.
Yeah, in the class that I took, they said that penis envy is the strongest one.
Oh my God, really? I had no idea, but
For microdosing, it carries the highest content of psilocybin.
oh God, okay, yeah. That's good to know.
The guy that I ordered it from, he sent 3 different types. And so I just, with the pendulum, I asked like, which one should I start with? And it only picked one, which is called Blue Meanies.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I just made 10 pills, so it will last a month. But yeah, the other ones, I'm wondering if they're stronger than this strand. So they were like, nope, stay with this one for now, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a friend of mine is actually really into experiencing the mushrooms right now. He's been working with many different strains. He's feeling more called to help facilitate like a ceremony space for people, so he's just working with different strains to try to figure out what he wants to offer people. And he told me that the Thai pink buffalo is like one of the greatest experiences he's ever had in his life, and it's been like consistently the same experience. He said it's the most love and light out of all the mushrooms that he's experienced. So that's also good to know.
Oh, thanks for letting me know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it's a new experience for sure. But again, it's so minuscule. This is the thing I'm realizing. It's like the flower essence. It's just an essence of it. You're not having a trip. It's not like you're checked out and you're having a full-on, deep ceremony. It's just such a subtle. I'm sure we've all done the flower essences where you don't even realize it, but a week goes by and you see like, holy crap, I've really changed in that week. And my perception of things changed in that week. So it feels like that. It's just such a minuscule thing. And honestly, it didn't feel like any kind of high in any way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I feel like I'm totally in agreement with what you ladies are saying about, the medicine's not being a crutch. And I feel like for me, that's been one of the greatest lessons, like since I began work with the plants, that they're, you need to have a lot of respect. Like I don't even understand how people use them recreationally. Like that just blows my mind. I couldn't imagine not giving them the space and the attention that they need. But I feel like, they're really just here to help us kind of clear away debris, to help us remember like who we truly are and feel our own energy, like you were saying. But it's not that, we have to go back to them to feel that. Like we need to experience it and then figure out how to calibrate and integrate and be in that energy,
Well, and you work with combo, which is almost the exact opposite, right? It's cleansing everything out of the system. Right?
Wait, can you say that again?
I said you work with combo, so it's the exact opposite. It's cleansing everything out of your system.
Yes. Oh my gosh. And honestly, that's one of the greatest things that I love about combos, because there's no distractions, you know, because a lot of times I think that people can get addicted to the beauty of the psychedelic state, the visionary state. Sometimes, oftentimes, you know, it can be so beautiful, and then that can easily become like a place to escape the reality, right? But we don't want that. Like, we want to be here now, and we want to integrate that beauty and bring that out into our reality. But with combo, like, that's really, I feel, what it does, because you take the medicine, it's a very direct process. You're not, it's very like cut and dry and to the point. You're cleansing and you're, you know, shedding and you're clearing. And yeah, sometimes you can have visions, you can get messages, and a lot of things do open up. But I feel that it's just like this, it's just clearing all that away so that you can feel yourself more and be closer to your, you know, your true self and your true energy underneath a lot of the gunk.
Hi, Melanie.
Hey, everybody.
We actually have been talking a lot about plant medicines this time. Dreams and plant medicine. I know you're feeling the call.
Yeah, I think you're talking to me. So I have been doing Hape for probably 3 weeks now, and now I was thinking about the mushrooms, and then after listening last night, I'm thinking about and having a loss of words, but the microdosing, which is what you guys talked about at the last chat. So I'm thinking about it, and this morning I was asking about it during my meditation to see if I could get some guidance. So I'm just kind of waiting now to see what I should do.
I think you were talking about the microdosing, that ayahuasca. That's what we talked about last time.
Yeah, that microdosing, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And how about you, Andrea? How are you doing over there?
All right, looking for the right buttons. Here we go. I am just listening because I have never done anything. I've been always called the party pooper when people want to experience things, and I'm like, no, that's dangerous. Don't do that. So, and I also have a really awful control issue. I feel like I need to be in control at all times, and I need to know what's going on. Even getting my wisdom teeth out, I chose to do that completely awake. And yes, I did it awake. And I used to work as a surgical assistant anyway, so I knew what the procedure was like. But most people, because they know, that's exactly the reason why they want to go to, you know, sleep for it. But I was like, no, I need to be awake and see what's going on. And I also have to face these people next week. What if I do something weird or become combative, or, you know, just like side effects of medication? I'm like, I don't want to act like no. So I survived that. And, but I did try the Hape for a few days, but the feeling it gave me was not a pleasant one. It was just really, I just felt very nauseous and very dizzy. It kind of gave me more anxiety than I already have. And anxiety is something I've been dealing with for a long time. So it just kind of like, I felt more anxious because of the feelings that I was having. Just, again, I think losing control. And I had, I mean, almost nothing. And it was so, I guess I'm just very sensitive to it. I don't know. But then now I've been just kind of waiting, like if it calls me again, you know, I have it there, it's there. I have an open-minded, you know, like I'm just like, if it, I don't know, we'll see, the right time will come. But now I'm just learning about new things.
Like for me with Hape, it's best to take first thing in the morning before you eat.
Yes, I remember you telling me that. Yeah, and I tried it, but I also have if I don't eat anything in the morning, I also get lightheaded and nauseous. So then I tried it a couple of mornings like that, and it was kind of like the same thing, a little bit more intense. And I was like, okay, I really can't win right now, so I'm just gonna let it be and try some other time. But I'm open to it. Go ahead, Kayla.
Okay. So it just came to me, what about, if you were open to it, I would be more than happy to, facilitate for you. If you want to try to experience the hape again, we could do it, through like video chat, and I could hold the space for you. And maybe, with like a little bit of guidance and a little bit of extra love and just, prayer and just really holding that space sacred for you might really help. So I'm just putting that out there. If
Yes,
you're
no, I appreciate it. Thank you. I would definitely sleep on it. I'm not gonna lie that I'm like, oh yes, let's do it. I'm not feeling like that. I think it's more of like the fear. And I also have lots of dreams. Like this week, I know you guys were talking about a lot in the chat about dreaming, and my dreams are really not pleasant ones. And I had been doing some therapy for a while, for a couple of years now. And now they aren't as bad. And now I don't wake up and, in the middle and just feel scared. But my dreams are always just related to really morbid things. Like, and that's basically of how my life was as a kid. I have witnessed a lot of like, when Alicia, I think you mentioned the gunshots and stuff. Like, so when I was a child, that's what I experienced a lot around my neighborhood. And I've watched people unfortunately get, killed. And I think now as an adult, all those things are like I'm like reliving them all in my dreams. It's almost like I'm the one who's being chased, or I'm the one that they're looking for. It's really weird, but now I dream and I wake up and I'm fine. I'm not anxious about them, and I understand like why I'm having the dreams. So like I am just like always like in a state of like really high anxiety, and medicine kind of I think that the fear of doing them and making even that anxiety even more. I think that's what I'm dealing with like now. But I will think about it, and thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I have to say something to you girls, because this is really incredible. So last night I had a dream, and I guess I'm like tuning into this energy. But I had a dream that I was with my mom and we were in a crowd, and there were people that were looking for me, and they were, armed with guns. And one of the guys, this like young man, he had the gun, and he spotted and locked eyes in my direction, and he came over and held me to the ground with a gun. And that is not my normal. I don't usually ever have dreams like that, so I just figured I would share, because that's really, really interesting.
Yeah, that's like what my normal dreams are like. A lot of them.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I will take part if you guys end up doing that. And I just feel very similar to you, Andrea. I also have this fear of the anxieties or the depressions that I've experienced coming back into my life. And like, so that's a big reason why I stay away from things, because it's like, what if this triggers me? And then I go down, like what, you just have to be so careful. And it's like controlling your daily life thing, because anything could trigger you. And then it's like, oh no, your mind starts to go to the dark place, and it's just maybe not the risk.
Yep, sorry that I cut somebody off. Sorry. I just wanted to share something like really small. So like, this is how bad, I guess, I'm sorry guys. I'm just going through a very sensitive time. Like everything affects me so badly. like even just going to my mom's today, like I stopped by and I have a cousin who got hit by a motorcycle a couple weeks ago, and this is in Brazil. And my mom is very very busy person. Like her mind is just like everywhere, and she takes care of everybody. And her and I are very close. So like anything that happens, she's like calls me, but I'm so sensitive and I can't tell her that. And so then I just take it all for me. Sorry. But so then like I come home and I'm just like so anxious. And I just don't know how to get out of it, you know, like I get there and she starts talking, and then like within minutes I just want to leave. And I feel so bad because I'm like, that's my mom, I love her and I want to be there for her. And but it's just so bad. Like I can't even, it's almost like I live in this little bubble, you know, of like try to protect myself from like the outside energies. And then when I get there, it's like I get to the door and I can feel it already because she's so intense. And this has been happening more and more. Like a few years ago, I've never felt it. I mean, I knew she was like that and I always have been able to deal with it. But lately it's just to the point that I can't. It's like, I feel so like I cut her off sometimes. I'm like, okay, mom, just, you know, just cut to the chase. Just tell me what the outcome was. Like, I just don't even want to hear it. But she's just like, but she's so happy. She's the happiest person alive, you know. But for me, and I've always like had anxiety, depression. So like, I just can't, it's almost like I can't detach, you know, from what everybody else is feeling. So, and I think that's one of the reasons why I just stay in my bubble. And I've always been like this, like, you know, my entire life. And the fear of getting worse. And it's almost like it is getting worse, but I know it's not, because I understand why I feel this way. But at the same time, I just want to be able to manage it in the way that I can, you know, relate with my mom, because it's just so hard. You know, she doesn't know that she's like passing this on to everybody else. And I'm just more sensitive than everyone else, I guess. I don't know. It's just really hard. Today has been like a really tough day. I'm like, oh my God, I just feel so anxious. And thank you for listening.
I just want to say, because a lot of messages were coming through as you were talking, so I'm just going to go back to the dream part. The reason that you're having these dreams is because when we have trauma in our lives, our soul's fractal, and each one of those fractals can create a parallel life. And what I didn't know this until you started talking about, what's happening is that part of your soul is coming up to your awareness because it's time to heal it. Okay, so why the guns? It's because there was a huge traumatic thing in your life. And what happens is your soul fractaled apart, and part of you is living that existence, literally being chased in the streets by guns. And the only way to bring healing to that, and this is just through my own experiences, we have the power to bring healing to every part of ourselves, every timeline that we're in. But you have to be brave enough to face it and have compassion for where you are in those lives, right? And holding her, if it's you as a child still, just holding her and knowing that you are always going to be there and safe to come back into this timeline with you. And then I was looking at your human design while you were talking about your mom, and you have an open G center and emotional center. And those are the two that I have open too. And you feel everything. You feel everything because you don't have your own identity. You take it all in, you take emotions in. And these tools are the thing that's going to help you realize what your energy is. And your aversion to them is because it's so different, right? It's so different to know who you are. And so your ego is putting up the fight, like, nope, we don't want to do this. We don't want her to be centered and strong. But I know that, no, if you keep practicing at these things, it's like you become a clear of who you are. So you will know when other people's energy comes in. And instead of it being the thing that you hate about yourself the most, it becomes a superpower to know how to feel into another, but not take it on as you. Like, honestly, where you are today is where I was. I would just cry. Like, for no reason, I would just cry because I wouldn't understand all these energies that were coming at me. And it felt just overwhelming, so overwhelming. But even like, you'll get to a point where you don't even need all the protection anymore because you can command your own energy. You can decide what you take in. but it takes practice of really differentiating. And with my mom, she's also extremely type A and extremely so much stronger than me. And it just means that I can't be around it all the time. And I know that's a hard thing to say, but it's having boundaries and really letting the energy in when you feel good, when you are ready to accept the other. But I really believe that these things are coming up for you because it's time to heal them.
I will just say, I have the same thing. I think open G center and open emotions. And I felt this exact same way during our first call when I cried. I was like you, I couldn't be on these calls without crying. And then I had the reading, my chart reading with Danielle, and you explained that it's other people's emotions that are coming in. And it was just like a light bulb moment for me. But then directly after that meeting, I had a test where I was actually going home to my family, and they're so triggering for me in the same way. Like I would go back to Toronto where they live and spend 2 weeks for them. And I would just take everything in and just like, okay, here's the next person I have to see. But it got to the point where when I got home, I was out of commission. Like when I was back to myself, I was just depleted as a person. I couldn't function. And yeah, I just learning that I could, and I did actively, like knowing that other people's emotions aren't mine was literally life-changing for me. And I was like, what? That's because I felt like I was the most emotional person ever. And then I would practice, like the first couple of times I was triggered by someone, I actually would get up and just go sit in the washroom, and I would sit there and I go like, okay, I didn't react, I didn't take it in. But then the next time I got triggered, when I was, my spirit told me, well, you can't leave every time, you're going to have to sit through it. So then I practiced sitting through it in those moments. And by the end of the trip, I was literally like feeling anxious and looking around me to my sister and saying, do you have anxiety? And she's like, yeah, I have horrible anxiety. I'm like, oh, okay, it's not mine. And just knowing that information was life-changing for me, and it got better really quickly. And then also knowing that like we're the same, like you and I have the same undefined centers. It's not you, it's just people like us that our energy works that way.
And I mean, even in thinking about that, we're all here because of that. Really, you're drawn to what you need help with and what resonates with you. And like we literally all have gone through this because we are so open. So, but there's a reason that you're that way. That's the thing, is instead of it being the thing that holds you down, it is exactly why you're here. You just have to understand that as a tool and understand how you use it to then help others, instead of it being like it feels like being buried by other things, by other people's stuff. I know you can do it. I know you're here because you're ready. Really. And I don't believe that soul or spirit shows us things until we're ready to heal them.
Yeah, I just want to say, Andrea, you're totally meant to be here. Like when you sent out that message about feeling like you have nothing to contribute, we're all learning from you, like your experience. And I think I have that open center too, because I think I told you guys in the beginning, I kind of isolated myself. I worked on a farm and I was just with plants all the time and I was never happier. But I always like felt like everybody's like problems. And I didn't know why I felt so crappy after hanging out with people. But then I started having that awakening, the spiritual awakening, and I started learning about this purple flame. I don't know if anybody knows about the violet flame. I could send the group something. And then putting a protective shield around you when you go into anybody's space, like your mom's, anybody's, and then doing the Ho'oponopono, like forgiving them or forgiving yourself for feeling that way. There are little mechanisms, and I feel like it'll get you more resistant to like other people's energies. And I think that's, yeah, it's you're so supposed to be here. You're supposed to heal through all of our stories. And I think we've all been there with you. So
even knowing that they're like, for me, my life, my biggest trigger is my brother. And I don't think it will ever go away because he's my family, but I know that I got to be really prepared when I'm in his energy and really, knowing that there are people here in our lives that are that exact reason. They are here to be our triggers and show us the things that we still are leaking out, or that we're not in I don't want to say control, but in awareness of how we are here to be, vessels. And it's difficult. Like, I never have a conversation with him that isn't difficult. So
I think the trigger is something we have in ourselves that we don't like. So it's just a mirror. It's like showing us the worst part of ourselves. So it's also like something what I do now is I just go home and I write it down, and I try to journal. Like, what is that thing that's gonna give me the lesson? Because I don't want to face it, because someone has to show it to me. I don't know if that helps, but that could help. And there's also like sound therapy. I know that a friend of mine does this thing where she hears a sound. I'll send you a link to that kind of therapy. That could really help, where it's something you're doing passively. You don't have to like go and journal or do anything, because sometimes that is helpful when you're not doing anything super active about it, and it's just subconscious. I'll send you a couple of things. Yeah, sure.
I love that idea of like anticipating your triggers, like we're just going through life waiting to get triggered, and we know we're going to work on it when it happens, but like you actually sit down and go, okay, what could trigger me today? Like, I'm going to prepare myself. I've never thought about approaching things that way before.
Those ones that they, no matter what they say, every time, it just does. Even that being around, like, even if with him, if we go to the beach together to walk the dogs, even if he doesn't say anything, just being in the energy is a trigger for me. I just feel so uncomfortable. Yeah.
I have that situation with someone at work. And so in the morning, I've started journaling how I'm going to direct the conversation so that I don't go into responding from an emotional place. And I found that to be really helpful.
Totally. Yeah. Because then you come away feeling weaker because you did let your emotion take control. Yeah, I feel that way. But I mean, and the truth is that, like, when one person voices a thing, it's clearly happening for all of us in different places, so it never feel alone, honestly. Because like the overwhelming feelings of it can make you feel isolated, but really it's not. You're here for a reason to say it, so that we can all be like, thank God I'm not alone. God, this one's feeling it too.
And it's a journey. I feel like life is a journey. Like, we're going to feel all different things. We can't just like feel that we have to conquer things. Like, even though I've worked on this so long, you crying, I felt like I was going to cry with you, like I felt your pain. But like, I don't sink into that and say, I'm going to be like sad all day. Now I feel like I know, like, I'm here to support you with like my stronger energy. But it's not about strength even. It's just about being like, this is your thing, this is my thing. We're all here to experience it together, but we don't have to experience it like really, get down with them. So
well, it's like a release of the energy that allows you to then bring in our healing energy. You know what I mean? But if you hadn't released it, then there's no room for anything else. It just was like so tight, right?
Yes. And I think I read something about emotions. Like, we're supposed to feel emotions, like negative, positive. I know we put those on as a society, but it's just a feeling. Like, it's not negative or positive. It's just, we need to feel these things to be human. That's part of our experience. And if we just go with the flow and feel it, it goes away because you've dealt with it. You've had the cry, which is great. You expelled it, and now you can move on.
And I think we as women, because the divine feminine is raising right now, we have an obligation, like what the world needs actually is for us to express our emotions and be very like unabashed about that, because that's, you know, emotions have been pushed down in society so much, and a lot of people still consider them, you know, like a negative thing. And it's really like women who are awake and who can put themselves out there and be vulnerable need to show the world that you can be emotional and still be like, you know, okay or not okay, it doesn't matter. So there's definitely obligation, I think, for all of us to do that, and for our sisters too, show, you know, like, I know it was through Gabrielle being vulnerable in your podcast that allowed me to be vulnerable, and it wasn't easy, but, you know, like, Andrea, you doing that today, I'm sure for like whoever's listening or, you know, watching this later is going to feel totally empowered by that, you know.
Exactly. And also knowing that if you're feeling it, there are many people feeling it. You're never in that vibration by yourself. So it's bringing voice to it, really.
Well, I think too, when you were talking triggers, you know, like with your mom and like Gabrielle, I'm sorry, there's a bug that is flying around in my room, of course, when I decide to talk. Sorry. um, family. I mean, I've got a sister-in-law who is my major trigger. I've got a daughter-in-law who is a big trigger. There's triggers, and boy, does family bring them out like a fireworks. It's really amazing, and they're there to teach you lessons too. And that's the other thing I keep telling myself every time I get upset with them. It's just like, yeah, I know you're here for a lesson. So excuse me, I'm gonna black myself so I can kill this daggum bug. Sorry, y'all.
Yeah. But also, it's not just a trigger, but also a reflection of you. These are coming up because it's time to face them. You're strong enough, right? And not only that, but you're in it now, you have support behind you. So you aren't by yourself. And I mean, I think it feels like the first one is the childhood wounds. That one feels like the first, because the mother wound is like, what I feel is it's ongoing your whole life, because I love my mom like the most in the world, but there's always this, it's this back and forth of, okay, but you can heal the childhood wounds first, nurture yourself first.
And I felt like you were so strong, Andrea, just to cry in front of us, to tell us your problems, like just to let it out. It was so much strength in you, and this is what it's showing you, like that you have strength. I think that this is really kind of confronting you and saying all the things you think about yourself is not true. Like, you are much stronger than you think, and you are here to help people with these problems, because maybe that's why it's coming up, and coming to you with a much more like a guided light, for them. So I do feel like you're very strong, and you're.
Thank you.
Definitely. And also that we're in the Cancerian place of emotion right now, and all of these things are coming for a reason. Like, there's support from the universe right now for you to deal with it, bring it out, journal about it. And I was thinking, when you were saying the hape feels like it's too much and it's like nauseating, it could be that it's just not time yet, but also investigate like maybe journaling, why is this feeling like I'm a resistant, because it probably is what you need in a weird way, to find that inner strength again.
I just have this feeling that like when you take it, maybe your intention is to feel strength, or maybe the intention you put into it could be like not fear, but more like, let this medicine give me strength, let this medicine make me subside my anxiety, instead of like feeling, oh, this is going to give me anxiety. That maybe it's more intentional.
Yeah, I just want to say I love you.
Yeah. And you guys also know, like, we all are gonna have those days that we're gonna need that lift up, right? And this group is that strength, because no one can be strong all the time. No one. No.
Back to the dream thing, it was so incredible this week. I had this one night where the energy was so intense for me. And the first thing I did was open my group chat, and just say like, whoa, you guys, I hope everyone else is okay, because I clearly wasn't. And the fact that other people were actually dreaming about me, like that to me is amazing. Oh my God, just, it's incredible. Like we are very connected, and, you know, picking up on each other's emotions and holding space for each other. And that's why universe, you know, introduced us all. So
What cards did you guys pull today? And did they match?
Well, Megan's not here today, but I'm the only one that pulled, and it's number 8, which is the Uluka. It's the who rides the owl brings justice. I'm so sorry to have to close the circle, but as you guys know, have a ceremony to go to, and I look forward to you guys this week and next week and every week.
Bye, ladies. It was
Goodbye.
amazing.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.
Love
Love
you.
you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.